In this lecture, we will see how we can subscribe a platform event using Apex Trigger. The event that we are going to subscribe in this lecture, which is again a standard platform event, which is a logout stream event. So basically this event occurs, or we say that this event raises only when user click on logout button from the UI. So it is like that if we go to Salesforce and if we go to our user and click on this logout, what happens? This particular event occurs, and if you have any trigger or any external system which is listening this particular event, they will be able to see that which particular user has been log out from the UI and other information related to that event as well. Now to do this, what steps we need to follow is, one is we have to enable logout event stream from the setup. I'll walk you through from where and how to enable. And then I have created a custom object to store the event details. And then we have to create an Apex trigger in order to subscribe the event. And then from that Apex trigger, we will create the record for our custom object so that we can see or we can get the details of all the users who are logging from the UI, login and logout. And then we are going to test using both either trigger and or a component as well. So let's quickly first start with enabling the logout event stream from the setup. Here is my Salesforce environment where we usually log in. So what we need to do is, from the setup quick search box, type event manager and click on this event manager. So under this event manager, you might see multiple events. If you see multiple events, we just need to enable which is logout event. You can see that under this streaming column, I can see it is enabled for me and storing data is also enabled for me. What you need to do is, initially you might see that these checkbox are not enabled. You might see like this. Let me disable the streaming and storage as well. So initially you might see your row like this. What you need to do is just click on this drop down and enable streaming as well as enable storage as well. So if you don't do this, your platform event will not raise and your trigger will not able to subscribe that. And after that, what we need to do is we need to create an object, a custom object, which will already be there in your Salesforce org if you have followed the steps to set up your Salesforce org in the initial of your course. This is a logout event, the object that we have created. If we go here in this object, we will be able to see all the fields that we have created, the custom field. If I scroll down, you can see the event date, login key, event identifier, related event identifier, replay ID, session key, session label, user ID, username, what is the IP, every single information you can get. Now you might be wondering from where we got these details. So the details are, again, to see the details, you need to go to event manager and then click on the logout event, which is this. Click on this logout event and then you can see all these fields over here with the API name. So you can see, and you can also see the data type. It is a reference, then date time, string, pick list, string, reference, string. So all these fields I have created into my Salesforce object, and using this created date or event date, everything else I have referenced as string because we don't want it to create any sort of lookup or anything. So once we have that, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and create an event on this object called logout event stream. So how we will be able to create the trigger? If you go here in this Apex trigger and try to create a trigger on this object, you'll not be able to see. You will not be able to create, because if you see here in the developer console, what it says that you need to open developer console, and as soon as you will open that developer console, it will ask you to create. Let me show you. I'm just opening the developer console, and here what you need to do is just go to file, new, Apex trigger. And if you need to create an Apex trigger, you must need to provide the object. If not, you can say logout stream, or we can say that logout event trigger, and then click on submit. It is asking a table or enum ID. That means we must need to select an object. And if we select an object, or we can quickly see if that object is here. Yeah, here it is, logout event stream. So you can select logout event trigger, logout event stream, and then finish. Now we got this. The event is again after insert. We know the reason why. And then what code we need to put is, let me quickly copy the code from here as I already have. So what we did is we created a list of our object called logout event, and then with the help of iteration using for loop over trigger.new, we are getting all those fields and then inserting the record. That is what a very simple trigger we are doing. Now I have got two trigger on the same object, which is logout event trigger, and I have also got this logout event stream trigger. What I'll do is I'll just comment out this code and then deploy this so that we don't get two objects created for the single logout event. So let's wait for this to be deployed into the Salesforce environment, and then we will try to test it. Now we have deployed our code to Salesforce environment. That means this is the recent code which will act to create the record. Now let's quickly try to, first before we go ahead, here I have got logout event tab which have two objects here, 1 and 2. Now I'm going to log out from the different window here. I'll click on this logout button. Now I have logged out. As soon as I clicked on that link logged out, my trigger has been executed and my trigger has created the record for this particular object. To see that record, what we need to do is we need to log in into the system. So I'm going to log in again into my Salesforce environment, and after login I will just refresh this page. Now you can see here I have got this logout event which is 03. Now if we want to subscribe this event, what we can do is we can just quickly go to the setup. That means we wanted to subscribe this event using our lightning component. So we are just going to refresh this page so that we can make sure we are on the correct session. We are not over expired session. So from there we'll just go to event manager, click on your logout event, or you can just copy this complete here. You can see the complete subscription channel. Just copy this and go to Udemy homepage. Not Udemy homepage. This is the homepage of our Salesforce environment. Now you can see that we have got one which is Lightning Web Component, and these two are the same components. So if I click on subscribe over here, it will subscribe my batch apex error event, and it will show us the 4 results that we tested earlier in the previous lecture. And if I change the event over here, it will show me the logout stream event. And if I subscribe it, I got these 3 records over here. Now the rest of information is not available over here, like exception type, phase, messages, async job id, because this particular table is to display the information whenever there is any error occurred from a batch. That's why when we subscribe a batch apex over here, we are getting all the information. But just to know, for the testing purpose, to see that we are getting that these logout events are getting executed and we are getting the details. If we have the console, I will show you that the console information is, unfortunately we don't have that console over here. We'll just quickly go ahead, quickly open the developer console and add a console log for this event, so that we can see that the logout event are actually getting subscribed and you don't have any doubt in order to test this, either this is working or not. So this is our event here. Just going to say event received. Just saved it and refresh the page again. Now what we will do is we'll subscribe first this batch. Now we got the detail about batch apex. You can see here extract trace platform event batch demo. This is our batch apex. Now clean this. Again go ahead and subscribe this logout event. Now we got 3 information. Let's quickly copy this and I will go to code beautifier again to the JSON viewer. Paste whatever we have copied, beautify it. Now you can see here this is our logout event identifier, where it is saying session is the standard, and then we have got user id, username, who has created that record, what is source ip, every single field that we have just seen for our logout event. If we go to the detail page of our event, so using that we can identify that our events are being subscribed. And as we have used two different components at the same component at two different places, it is going to create two different instances for the same component. That is why this component is working to subscribe the batch apex error event, and this component is working to subscribe the logout event stream. So we can use the same component for the multiple purpose.